Kickoff starts now.
All right. Moving on now, you can share your pick for Defensive Rookie of the Year.
So I don't know if we have similar ones on this, but I said Chase Young. Chase Young is just one of the he is one of the best prospects, defensive prospects I've seen. Better than Nick Bosa last year, better than almost anyone. He can win in every single way. And what makes him so scary is that he has all the tools, and in college he wasn't able to learn how to utilize all of them. And yet he was still dominant, right?
Yeah.
He got 15 sacks and he was dominant. But what was so scary is that he got all those sacks by doing different things. It wasn't like he would bull rush.
He has different moves. That's right. He has all the moves.
But I think he'll be able to learn how to utilize all of them. And if he's able to learn how to utilize all of them, he already becomes one of the best players in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Already.
Wow, the best players in the NFL. That's
the best players. If he learns how to use, well, it'll take him a few years to use.
A few years. Yeah, fine.
But I think even coming into the NFL, he's going to be elite. And I think he's going to have a 10-sack year. I would bet on him having a better rookie year than Nick Bosa. And Nick Bosa had a very good rookie year.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he has all the skill.
Okay, yeah. Oh, wow. Actually, now that I just let that go over my head, but now that I think about that, that's a pretty bold prediction.
Yeah.
Especially because Nick Bosa, I mean, okay, it's hard to say whether Nick Bosa made the 49ers great, because I was going to say Nick Bosa was on a better team than the Washington football team. But I will say that generally, like, it might be easier for Nick Bosa to succeed because he was on that good, well-coached team, whereas there's a lot of controversy going on in Washington right now that might make it hard for a guy like Chase Young to fully blossom, especially in his first season.
Yeah, I thought that it's a struggle for me to say Washington football team. Like, seriously.
But you gotta say it.
No.
Just say Washington if you hate it that much.
It's just a struggle because I keep calling them the Redskins.
I know. I gotta correct you. They're not that anymore.
Also, their name is terrible. Like, seriously.
Yeah. Okay, we got into this in full in our NFL news review. Was that 1 or 2?
1.
In number 1, so you can check that out if you would like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And no, but I had the Redskins doing pretty well. I thought they had a young team with some young pieces. Their team is a mess. They had to release Darius Geis.
Yeah, and Darius Geis was a guy who came out with a lot of potential. But to be fair, he was injured his first few seasons, so I understand why they released him.
He's a 3-pound player, and it's not like the end of the world.
Has anyone picked up Geis, by the way?
No, I don't think so. But It's like they're trying to build a culture right now, and I really doubt that there's too much drama on this side for them to succeed. But Chase Young is just such a good prospect.
Yeah, he's incredible.
Honestly, if Burrow didn't have that ridiculous of a year, I think I would have picked Young at 1. Young, I think.
Well, it just depends what team you are, because if you're a team that needs a quarterback, quarterbacks are just always a more valuable position than a defensive player, which is it's just a fact. So if you need a quarterback, then it's always going to be like that.
Chase Young is Chase Young is a better prospect for his position than Joe Burrow is.
No, I don't know about that. I mean, okay, Chase Young is an incredible prospect, but Joe Burrow is also one of the highest rated prospects coming out of college. So I don't want you to underrate him. Even if Chase Young is one of the top ever, don't sleep on Burrow, because he's not some average number 1 overall pick. Like, coming out of college, I would say he's a step higher than Baker was rated or Kyler was rated.
Yeah.
Or Jameis was rated.
And yeah, Burrow is great. I don't want to take away from Burrow, but Chase Young is just special.
I understand it. He's incredible, and he's a step above everything.
I
do understand that, because I actually picked him he's my pick for defensive rookie of the year as well. But just for the sake of the argument, I'm going to give out a few other players, because I think Chase Young is the obvious pick. There's not much you can say.
That's very exciting.
Yeah, especially because linebackers and pass rushers are always the guys who win defensive rookie of the year, or at least do it very often, and even defensive player of the year, although last year was Stephon Gilmore. So I can't see it being like Jeff Okudah or even like CJ Henderson, because and it also takes cornerbacks a few years to get acclimated in the league a lot of times, because they're going to be against such different and more complex routes and having to play harder wide receivers. So it takes cornerbacks most of the time a few years to get acclimated. So with that said, Guys who I'd put in second to win Defensive Rookie of the Year would be either Patrick Queen or Isaiah Simmons, and I'll go to both of them. Patrick Queen is a guy that I really love coming out of college. Now he's on the Baltimore Ravens, which is good. I think is a mostly positive thing. Their defense is looking very great, and also, the Ravens have one of the best offenses in the league with MVP quarterback Lamar Jackson. So he's really set up to succeed in that system. But also, as for Isaiah Simmons, I think I liked him even more coming out of college. So just based on like a player level, that's why I'd pick Isaiah Simmons. And also the Cardinals are a team that I'd say are a dark horse to maybe make the playoffs. They're going to run just because they've done a lot this offseason. And we'll get to that in a few episodes down the line when we talk about record predictions. But the Cardinals defense is also a terrible defense last year. So for the most part, they had a few great players, but if Isaiah Simmons comes in here and records a bunch of stats, I think he'll definitely stand out on the Cardinals and in the NFL in general. Whereas if Patrick Queen is to put up good numbers or just play well, he won't get as much recognition just because compared to the rest of that defense and team, he wouldn't stand out as much, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense.
So those are my two picks, but really Chase Young, I think, is the obvious choice here.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, Isaiah Simmons is scary because he can play defensive end and he can play safety.
Yeah.
Like, I get they're probably going to put him at, like, middle linebacker, but they can put him at anything. They can put him at defensive end.
Mm-hmm. I know, he's very versatile. At defensive end to safety, yeah.
If you enjoyed this episode of From the Den, please remember to subscribe, comment, and like this video.
Or, if you're a Packers fan, remember to dislike and leave a nasty comment. Click the links on the screen to access additional content.